Hi there, this is Live Prepper here at the World of Joan. And today I want to talk about GMO. And you've heard a lot of subjects about this, but I go to the library and I do my research. I print it out. And this one here is 10 reasons to avoid GMO. I want to tell you, I learned some stuff that I was not even aware of. It talks about GMO are unhealthy. This is genetically modified organisms. So it talks about this here. It says it urges doctors to prescribe non-GMO diets for all patients. They cite animal studies showing open organ damage, gastrointestinal and immune system disorder. The thing is, an accelerated aging. Ain't that something? And infertility. Wow. You know what? I never really thought about it. The thing is, in here, what I was reading, it was talking about the antibiotics. You know, you've been hearing how we have built up a resistance to antibiotics. The fact is, the reason we have built up the resistance to antibiotics is due to the GMO foods that we are consuming. That is in our foods. The foods that we go out and we get at restaurants and stuff. A lot of that stuff is GMO. It's pre-canned. I've done restaurant work for years. I know a lot of that stuff is modified. So a lot of it is fresh, don't get me wrong. But that sausage and gravy that you get off the breakfast bar a lot of times comes out of a can. So they have to put preservatives and stuff in to make it last. It's not made fresh. A lot of it ain't. Ask them if stuff is made fresh and find out if it is freshly made or if it came out of a can. Because they have to put preservatives in these things to make it last longer. That is why we are growing a resistance to the antibiotics, because the GMO modified plants is a highly resistant strain. So it means that our body is just not accepting it anymore. It's just breaking down from it. Now, ain't that something awful? Neural health problems increase after GMO was introduced in 1996. Wow. The percentage of Americans with 3 or more chronic illnesses jumped from 7% to 13% in 9 years. Food allergies skyrocket. There's like 160-something allergies now. Ain't that something? And disorders such as autism, reproductive disorders, digestive problems, and others are on the rise. The thing is, we just go, and we're so used to going out to the stores. I used to get TV dinners at Hot Pockets. Oh, I love Hot Pockets. But I couldn't get my blood pressure under control. I kept staying sick all the time. Sick. And I thought I was doing good by getting these portion meals to try to keep my weight under control. And then I got reading on it more. The amount of all this stuff that was in it wasn't helping me any. So I had to just literally, I said, I'm not eating anymore. Now, do I still do canned soup? Sure I do. Do I still do ramen noodles, things like that? Yes, I do. I'm guilty on it, but there is things I just don't do anymore, and that's the TV dinners, and that is the Hot Pockets and things like that. All that is in the freezer section there. I just don't do them anymore, and I don't have nearly the problems with my blood pressure like I used to. The thing is, when I do make a lot of my soups, I add vinegar into it, and I add hot sauce into a lot of mine because I like a little spicy stuff. The vinegar helps with your diabetes and your blood pressure and other problems as well. So I do put a little of that in my soups and stuff from time to time to help keep things under control. Then it's talking about GMO contamination forever. It's talking about GMO cross-pollinating and their seeds can travel. It is impossible to fully clean them. If you've ever seen the movie, the chick, well, you know what I'm talking about. It's the plant movie. Trifles or whatever it is. I can't even think of what it's called. But the thing is, they talking about on one of the islands where every spring they go out and pick the seeds up to get rid of these plants that just attacked, killed humans. Bottom line. The thing is, the wind carries these seeds, and you cannot pick them all up. Another thing is too, when you're going out buying seeds, if you'll notice, a lot of these seeds will be designed not to create more seeds. They will put some kind of treatment on it so it will grow and it'll produce your fruit or vegetables you want, but it will not produce no seeds. They do this on purpose so you will have to buy more seeds the following year. So that is into your system. It says GMOs increase herbicide uses. There's been more of an increase of organic farmers, but the problem is too, organic farmers are fighting uphill battle too. There is people wanting to buy it, but what the government and all them's done is made it where it costs us more to buy that than to buy a GMO product. So they make people say, well, I like those organic tomatoes, but I can't afford to pay that price. So I'll just go for these tomatoes right here instead because they're cheaper. The thing is, you need to make sure you wash them off. And then it's talking about, so then it's talking about between 1996 and 2008, U.S. farmers sprayed an extra 383 million pounds of herbicides on GMO overruns of Roundup results in super weeds. Wow. You remember when it's talking about how wheat was good for you, whole grain wheat, and now it's not even good for you because they've genetically modified it. They took the natural whole grain wheat that was tall and shortened it, and now it's not even good for you anymore. People say, well, you eat whole grain wheat better than eating the bleached out flour. Well, it's not good for you anymore. Actually, you're going to gain weight with it. I just went back to white bread. It's a waste of time. It's a genetic engineering creates dangerous side effects. Now, this is by mixing genes from totally unrelated species. Genetically engineering unleashes a host of unpredictable side effects. If you've seen this tree that some of these places are putting for sale that has all these different fruits, you'll see it has bananas, you'll see it have apples, and it have oranges and different things. They've spliced all this tree together and they've created this genetically modified tree. So you're getting all these different fruits on this one tree. Now, of course, they just take a cutting off of one and then slice it into it, wrap it up, and get it take root. But once these trees start doing this is just not a natural tree. This is not a natural plant to have bananas and apples and oranges and grapefruit and all this different ones on this one tree. It's just not a natural tree. It's been modified. It's been created. Yeah. So, and then it says government oversight is dangerously lax. Most of the health and environment risks of GMO are ignored by government. Superficial regulations and safety assessment. The reason for this tragedy is largely political. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, for example, doesn't require a single safety study, do not maintain labeling of GMO, and allow companies to put their GM foods on the market without even knowing financially. That's something. They just put it out there. So it makes of course, it makes you wonder if they're not making money off of this. Of course, they're making money off of it. They're making money. The politicians who's bought stock in these companies and stuff, and the corporations and the people who's got the cash flow in their pockets, who don't know what it's like to go to bed at night without food in their belly and stuff, who's never slept on the floor or had water leak through the roof or whatever it is, has never known what it's like to just do without. It's got your hand in all this stuff. They're making money off of it. It says the biotech interest uses tobacco science to claim product safety. Ain't that something? Biotech companies told us that Agent Orange, PCB, and DDT were safe. They are now using the same type of superficial, rigid research to try and convince us that GMOs are safe. But you know what? Years later, all this stuff came back on people. The orange, the DDT, all this other stuff came back on people health-wise. when they kept saying it was safe. Independent research and reporting is attached and suppressed. Well, we know that. I mean, that's just kept, a lot of that's just pushed back. I mean, if you got the money to do it, companies got the money to do it, they're going to push it back somehow, some way. The GMOs harm the environment. GM crops and their associated herbicides can harm birds, insects, amphibians, marine systems, microsystems, and soil organisms. You're poisoning the ground. In order to create the GMO modified plants and stuff, they are tripling the doses of chemicals put on this. So the side effects is sinking into the ground, and we are also consuming it in our bodies as well. It says GMOs do not increase yields and works against feeding a hungry world. And they're trying to say that by creating these GMO plants, they're creating better plants, and they can feed the people and all this. Well, it's not necessary. So what you're doing is you're putting bug spray. You're eating bug spray, bottom line, because they're having to put more on these plants to make them, because they're resistant to bug weed killers. They're resistant. They've been designed to be this. So it's just something on it that people have no idea. The two types of antibiotic-resistant genes used by biotechnologists are ones that already exist in bacteria in nature. So the process would not introduce new antibiotics resistance to bacteria. Nevertheless, it is a concern, and the FDA is encouraging biotechnologists to phase out the practice using antibiotics-resistant genes. See, we're eating this stuff. It's antibiotic-resistant genes, and it's in our body. It's in our food. And we, as a person, are consuming this. Now, I had another article on it, and I don't see it, but it was talking about all the testing they did on things, and a lot of the crops that we just take for granted. Just true, we're only increasing more organic farms, but at the same time, the regulations they put on these organic farms is unreal. They are more concerned about these organic farms than they are about these GMO ones. And these companies and stuff is saying, hey, we'll pay you to raise this experimental food. We'll pay you to take care of this. So, but then all this stuff they're doing is also making us sick. And they're not the ones paying our doctor bills. We are. I mean, countless towns and communities went to court and fought on this stuff, trying to sue these people for cancer and tumors and things showing up on these people. They didn't show up until they agreed to use this experimental crops, because they was getting paid good money, because the farmers was going to lose their homes and their lands if they didn't agree to all this stuff. They was just in dire straits. So they agreed to do this. They agreed to raise genetically modified chickens and genetically modified cows and genetically modified crops. Just think, what do you think you raising a chicken? It's got 5 chicken legs on it. Wow. I mean, they talk about the chickens where the if you ever been in a store, you buy a dozen eggs, how thin the shell is. It's because the chickens are designed just to lay eggs. They're not active, and they're being given, a lot of them's been given GMO corn. That's something, ain't it? So, it's live prepper here. GMO is something to think about. I mean, when I was reading those articles, when I was doing my research, I was just at awe at some of this genetic stuff here, and what we're putting into our system, and what we're living off of every day. I mean, it's not just the stores. I mean, you're just like I said, these restaurants and stuff. Some of the restaurants got in some serious trouble years ago over where they was getting some of their beef fat and stuff, and then you have other restaurants that get shut down for different reasons. The fact is that every time we pick up something in the store, chances are it's genetically modified. I've talked to a lot of different people that cannot eat certain TV dinner, certain brands, because it shoots their blood pressure up. It makes them sick. There's a lot of foods they can't, but the fact is they make it to at where you can afford to buy it, and so you buy it because you think too that, well, I'm eating this portion meal, I'm getting a meal in my system, when you're actually hurting yourself. I mean, I know for personal fact that it made me sick. My blood pressure was always shooting up and down. I just couldn't keep it under control. And once I quit eating TV dinners and quit eating all that frozen stuff, because I thought I was doing good for myself by eating these, when I quit doing it, my blood pressure started leveling off a whole lot more. So that's a lot to think about. Making you up a mess of cornbread and beans ain't fancy eating, but I'm gonna tell you what, it's a lot better for you than buying all this genetically modified. Make sure when you buy your seeds, do some research on it. If it doesn't say heirloom seeds, or if it says anything, check company out, see what kind of seeds they're selling and stuff, and find out if they've been genetically modified, because they don't have to post that on there. They don't have to tell you that they're GMO, because a lot of these seeds you're buying are designed not to produce other seeds for the purposes they're being genetically modified. They are one time only. You raise your food, you get it, and then it's done. So So this is Life Prepper here, World of Joe, and I want you to be safe, be happy. Bless you all.